to. I know, Chuck. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Well, I've got a bare workbench and I need to put something on it. So I thought I would get this snapper push mower back out and pick away at it a little bit more. You've seen in these few videos there, I was trying to get that thing to run right and it wouldn't run right. It would just run a little while, you know, maybe a dozen seconds or so, and then it would just crap out and quit. It'd be real hard to get started again, and then it just went on and on. It backfired through the carburetor trying to start it. So you see, I went through the carburetor a little bit and just drained the carb out, and we saw what that was like and all that. So it's got something wrong with it, and that's evidently why it was quit being used and ended up at the thrift store, I guess. So I'm just going to get that thing up there carefully without killing my back, hopefully, and pick away at it a little bit and see if we can figure out what's going on with it, because it's just not running right. And I've got about 3 lawnmowers back there to deal with. I've got that one there, that's about a 99 MTD self-propelled that I also got from the thrift store. Had it a while. I started working on it and then just kind of went away from it for a while. It needs a coil. So coil's about 50 bucks, and I really don't want to spend that kind of money for ignition coil. So I've been trying to find this guy up the road up here who has used parts for these things. And I don't know if he's flaked out or got sick or retired or he's in jail or whatever, but I have not been able to catch him. So keep trying on that. And there's a snapper, and then way back there at the end, under a cover sorta, is one that I put a little clip up. Nobody commented at all on it. I guess they didn't catch it or something, but that's a 1987 Murray. It's like a 19-inch or a 20-inch mower that I kind of used to get at Walmart, and I think it's 30 years old, and that's one the coworker gave me. And his wife hit something with it and it won't run, she says. So anyway, let's get this snapper up here and let's see what we can do with it and see what we find. Still on 2 feet, luckily. Let's take a little bit closer look at this. Someone was asking me about this engine that's on this mower. This is called a Briggs 3.5 horsepower max, and it appears to me just to be normal old 3.5 horse engine. Doesn't look like anything special about it. It's not an overhead valve. The only thing I did notice is that if we take a look under here, you saw that carburetor going down. If you look at that, whoops, I told you, okay, fair warning. If you look at that carb, that's a bowl type carburetor. At least that's not one of those diaphragm things. So anyway, I'm going to pull this back apart. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull this gas tank off, or at least get it loose, because I want to do some examination of the, make sure it's not out of time. Somebody could have hit something with this, you know. I was trying to think back. I was looking at some of Darren's videos and trying to ascertain what he was doing with it. I thought he had one that had the same kind of problem, but I'm not sure about that. So I'm gonna. It's not kicking back though. When you pull it, it's not doing that. The only thing it's doing is just there's a couple things that are kind of strange about it. When it gets warm, that's when it really does not want to run, and that worries me because you start thinking of compression. But it really kind of does the same thing when it's cold. It's just you pull and pull and pull and pull, and it just kind of like you saw, just kind of spits better, and then finally it'll take off and almost try to run and not really run. So it's doing that. Smokes a little bit when it's doing that. It doesn't smoke normally, but then it was backfiring out the carburetor a whole lot. So anyway, we got to examine the patient. So we can go ahead and work on getting this stuff all loose. Be right back. Tell it's been doing some backfiring. See how much scorched the air filter? We're gonna have a fire. That parts mower that I kept the motor off, you can't see it down there, but that thing caught fire somehow. Alright, I gotta get that one backing plate off right there. Getting pretty close to being time to making another tool. Right? I've been going through all my tools and trying to weed out the duplicates and stuff that I never use and all that, and I've still got some just junk tools. I'm getting to be a fan of stuff that's mechanized. As far as tools, it saves me the labor. I got my driver there, but I can't find the bit that goes in it to run this stuff. Oh, woe is me. This mower, it sure smells like it's got a gas leak somewhere, but I can't find one. It does. That old dog up the street, that thing is still barking up there. I know some of you still want to know a little bit about the neighborhood stuff. Nothing to really tell you about the neighborhood, except that a while over there, his house suddenly went back off the market. So I don't know if he's bailed out on the idea of selling. It's not about going into an apartment. I think I told you guys he was going to sell his house, but I tell you what probably happened is probably went and started looking at apartments and found out how much more to rent a damn apartment is than pay for a house mortgage. Okay, what do I want to do here? Let's see, I think I got the gas turned off. Hopefully. No, I didn't. That's probably how I smell. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble some more here. Take us a look in there and see what's that. Okay then, so this is just what you got left after you get the little shroud and the fuel tank off of it. The fuel tank makes this look a lot larger than it actually is. This is just basically a generic 3.5 horse engine, nothing much to it. And got a neat little exhaust shield over here. Never seen that before. I saw something I didn't like on this a while ago, so I'm going to go ahead and dig deeper into this. I've got this torn down a little farther, and I'll show you what I saw that I did not like the looks of, and it may explain our symptoms. Now, as you recall, if you'll recap and recall, I was telling you that this thing did not run real good. It'd run for a little while, then it just up and quit, and the hotter it got, the worse that got. And I thought I'd seen that on somebody's video, and sure enough, the master had that on one of his videos, the one he had to put I think he had to put a head gasket in one of those mowers he's working on. And I bet you that's what's wrong with this one, because what I saw was this. I was looking up under the bottom of this engine, and I saw what I thought was gas right here out of a carburetor. And the carburetor it does have a drip on it every once in a while. I guess the bowl gasket's leaking a little bit, but that's not gas. That's oil, and it's coming out. If you see right there that's wet on the bottom of the engine block off that cooling fin. And I was examining it, and then you look right there, and you can see that it does not appear to be coming out of the bottom of the engine back there. I think there's a gasket up there, right about right there. But that looks dry, so it's not, that I can tell, it's not coming out of there. And if I look back on the side right here, you can kind of see that it's pretty oily in there, especially towards the bottom. So that might explain the smoking and why it doesn't want to run when it's hot. So I believe I'm going to go ahead and just dig further into this mystery. I'm going to go ahead and get this carburetor off and this bracket here, and we're going to pull the head off this thing and see what's up with that. Okay then, well, you know what the master would say. Why don't we go ahead and crack open this walnut? There's definitely oil around the bottom of this, and it just looks really grungy around the head gasket, especially over here. There's a lot of caked up goop. So it may be nothing, but I'd rather take this apart and know it's nothing, put a new head gasket on it, than to assume otherwise. So here we go. I'm curious, I'm going to find a bolt somewhere that's kind of backed out. You know, the torque's backed off of it. Somebody was saying if this was indeed an 89, and oops, I didn't mean to do that way exactly. I don't know what the torque is on these. That one wasn't super tight there. Yeah, it is an 89. It's April of 89, I think it is. I thought this mower was actually older than that, but it's not. That one was not tight. I doubt the torque is very high on these. I think this is an aluminum head, but that one's not even tight. That dog's in hell up there. Okay, look at this. See the oil down that bolt? How wet it is. And oh, by the way, I did check it. The first thing I thought might have happened was this carburetor had flooded into the crankcase, but I checked the oil and it's not high, so it's not that. Wasn't that. That felt okay. So I'm glad you guys seem to be enjoying these videos, these kind of revamped videos I'm trying to do. I know there's a few of them I know that's not been quite up to par as far as my videography yet. Some I've done well on, some I haven't. I'm still kind of honing my craft a little bit, I guess you say. That one was alright. It's a little bit of oil residue on it. Put these on the blanket back over here in order. I think they're all the same, but you never know. That was not tight. I like doing, add oil on it, see that? I like doing stuff by hand. I know a lot of people, they just kind of bust stuff loose, you know, with a machine, and that's fine, but I kind of like to do stuff like this fun. Yeah, see, I can tell that was loose too. So the torque is backed off on this. I do a little bit. Oops, it's already coming loose. How about that? Isn't that exciting? The head gasket just fell. Oh, these last bolts is driving you crazy, man. You're like, come on out. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I want to get it off here. It's like they're longer than any other bolt. It seems that way. Okay, then. Let me put that on there. Well, yep, it was leaking oil out the bottom right there. See how oily it is? Right there, and I'm pretty certain that's not supposed to do that. Okay. So this was up like this. So I don't think I would say that this head gasket necessarily blew, but it looks just like that. It just the torque backed off of this head for some reason, because I don't see. You know, this is basically amounts. You know, your compression is just blowing out the side right there. Let's take a closer look over here at this. Yeah. I don't see anything bad so far with this. It looks like it's spin it over. Oh man. Check the cylinder and everything, so let's get you off there. Let's get a closer look in here. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I would take it to mean now, I can see right now that I don't know a whole lot about these, but I would concede that it may have some weak rings too. You can see it's sort of got a lot of oil right there, pretty oily, but that's, you know, kind of have oil right there. But I would, and my first instinct would say that it was just blowing compression out along where this head gasket is because of all the oil seepage. Like I'm saying, I don't know if the oil seepage is normal, but I did check the compression on this before I took it apart, and it had about 60 pounds, which is a little low, so that would explain that. So I'm going to go ahead and check also to see that it's not got a sticking valve or something like that. We'll clean this thing up real good too. So didn't see anything wrong with the head, except that it's just got the same thing going on over here too, just a lot of oil seepage, oil blowing past it. So I'm going to set you down for a second. I'm going to get a towel and just kind of clean that up a little and take a look at that cylinder and see what it looks like. Okay then guys, it's the next day. I reached a stopping point with this last night, and so I'm going to pick back up on it today. As you see, I got the head off this and was looking this head over and looking the cylinder over, and we're not going to look at those very closely right now, but suffice to say I'll show you that more when I get back into this. Suffice to say that I didn't see any smoking gun with this other than the cylinder head, and the cylinder was carboned up pretty bad. The exhaust valves were carboned, and just doesn't look like something's putting the fire out in there for sure. So I don't know what would have caused this head gasket to start leaking like this. It's a metal gasket, and those are generally, I think those are pretty durable. They subsequently change those over to a composite gasket. So I don't know, I'm going to go get another head gasket for it, so I don't know what I'm going to get. If I'm going to get another metal one or they're going to give me a composite one, I don't think it makes a difference. But anyway, it doesn't look like anything, whatever was happening was going on very long. It just, maybe somebody was monkeying with this thing and they loosened up the head bolts and then tried to tighten them back up and then put them to the correct torque, or I don't know. You tell me. You guys, some of you guys have worked on these a lot more than I have. But that said, though, I've got everything that I'm going to need to get and replace bagged up in this head gasket. I'm going to get a carburetor kit and a spark plug for that one. And then I guess I'm going to see that one that I pushed to the side over there needs a magneto, which is that guy. So I've bagged them up and wrote my information on this. That's the one off the snapper, and that's the one off that 99 MTD up there. Because the place up there I get my parts from, when I buy them local, they can't function without a model number and all that stuff. So anyway, so let's do that, guys. Let's hop in the old Fusion and take a ride up to the lawnmower parts getting place. It's a beautiful day out today. It's a day I want to just spend outside, or at least in here in proximity to outside, wrenching. So let's get on the road. Okay, here we are at the lawnmower parts getting place. We have arrived, and this place is always sort of busy on the weekends. Sometimes I'll be seeing Councilman Showers down here getting parts for his lawnmower or his rototiller. There's my old buddy back there, little Sammy Mover. We are in business, guys. This place had everything we needed. Got us a new composite head gasket. I was anticipating that was going to supersede that. I think I had read that someplace. And then we picked up a spark plug, also picked up our carb kit, and that carburetor had been replaced once already. That wasn't the original. But also picked up a coil, and this coil is worth mentioning because if I can get it out of here, we'll take a look at it. The coil. The coil is worth mentioning because those of you who have been on this channel quite a while, you know that I have harangued about places around here that don't have the parts in stock, or they're more expensive than what you could get, off the internet or what have you. But I'm of the philosophy that when somebody does something good, you need to promote that. You need to say that they did do good. Don't just be negative about stuff. I know some of you guys think I'm negative about everything, but not quite. So I want to give props to this place. This place was $10 cheaper for this magneto, the coil, than you could find one on the internet. So there you go. Sometimes it does pay to shop locally, and I'd like to shop locally and support the tax base if I could, but it's the things I buy don't always work out that way. But let's get on back to headquarters, and we'll start putting this thing back together, and hopefully we'll get this running good, and maybe we'll even get started on that other mower today. Okay, I'm back from the mower parts getting place, and I had some lunch, ran a couple errands too. So anyway, we're ready to put this thing back together, and so we'll clean everything up, clean the cylinders up, clean the valves. The valves look good, Everything looks good. The cylinder looks good. There's no ridge, no scores, no nothing. So that's good. And clean the head up and looked it over, and I don't see any problems with it. It's a little discolored down here, but one thing to keep into consideration is that keep in mind, whatever. This is a composite gasket that's going back on here. That's what they sell now. This is what superseded the metal gasket, and that's not saying you can't still get the metal gasket, but you originally had a metal gasket. That's what came off of it. So all there is left on it is just a little bit of imprint from that. But this is probably a better thing to do to use this anyway, in my estimation, because a composite gasket is, you know, a metal gasket, metal head gasket, and a composite gasket. They each have their pluses and minuses, and one of the pluses of a metal head gasket is that it's more durable, it's less resistant to burning out. But one of the downsides to it is that if you know your head has to stay torqued, so if the head ever gets loose like this one did, it starts leaking, and then it's quick to leak. And where this one, the composite gasket, is, it crushes a little bit, and it's got a little bit more, it's more forgiving about torque maybe backing off on the head bolts a little bit or whatever, and it allows, also the way it's designed, it's allowed the head's allowed just to move around a little bit on it, which a metal one does too. But and this one is probably not, composite's not near as resistant to burning away as a metal clad one. But that's just the way it is with different kinds of material. So this one, if there's, I didn't scrape this, I didn't do anything with this because this is an aluminum head, and you really don't want to do that. And it feels good. It's a little, it's almost placed around one of these head bolts. It's a little, it's got a little deformation, I guess, from the head gasket. That's a metal, of course I said metal head gasket, but right there. But this is the good thing about this, is that it will hopefully conform to those kind of small, minute defects, and will seal better. So that, all that mouthful said, let's go ahead and start putting this guy back together and get on with it. So this one, this is our on this one, these head bolts are all the same. They look all the same, so hopefully they're all the same. Alright, turn the head around the right way, make sure we got the gasket oriented correctly. I'm sure they'll end. Double check it. Ain't no hole there. The hole's gone. You hear somebody say that, and they'll be putting something together, and they'll say, I don't know what happened. The hole's gone. I knew a guy one time, a buddy of mine was putting a engine back together. Oh, boy, it did. It was some sort of a V6 engine. It had spark plug wires that ran over the top of the engine back to the back bank of cylinders, and man, he got confused or whatever, and I was over at his house and check and see how he was doing with it, and he says, well, he says, everything's going pretty good. He said, the weirdest thing though, he said, I start putting this sucker back together and finish it up, and I'll be doggone if the doggone spark plug wires are too short now. So that's pretty much like, okay. You're gonna laugh at me for something I'm gonna do here probably, but I'm real particular about putting these bolts back in where they came out at. Because believe it or not, it sounds crazy, but sometimes you can put a bolt in a different location and it will not go back in smoothly like it came out, and you put it in its proper location and it goes in smoothly. Don't ask me why. You know, in the end, it'll make any difference. So they'll. This thing's got this damn bracket that's held by the head bolts. Has to go back up here where it kind of loose at. Yes, one of you guys, and I'm sorry, sometimes I forget names, but one of you guys was asking me, you said you thought this looked like this was you thought this might have been a quantum engine, and then they thought actually what the deal was with this is that this is a regular old flathead engine with a quantum carburetor on it. I think you're right on that. That sounds about right. This is not what I thought was wrong with this. And you never know, this may not be what's wrong with it, but fixing it sure won't hurt anything, that's for sure. At least I don't feel it will. Okay, now then, I'm going to just run these in, excuse me. I'll run these in with my ratchet, but you got to torque these to a certain torque level, so you don't want to use this to torque the head. Now I know some of you guys are going to say, I've been working on those things for 40 years and I ain't never used no damn torque wrench to put head bolts on. Just tighten it up. It ain't going to have no problems. Well, that's fine, and I believe you. I do it by the book. I just invested $5 in this head gasket, and I'd rather do it right and not ruin my head gasket. Down here in the South, you hear a lot of funny saying. People say, that thing won't hit a lick. They'll say, it won't stay cranked. They say, mash on the gas, mash on the brakes. Hit the brakes. One of my favorites to laugh at, just for something funny to see, is people say, this needs a timing set on it. Why don't you set the timing? Okay, so we're going to torque this thing down. These head bolts go to 140 inch pounds of torque. Not foot pounds. If you do these in foot pounds, you're going to be buying a new engine. Inch pounds, this is an inch pound torque wrench. So you're going to do alternate. You're going to go crossways, down, up, down, up, down, up, out, out. So that's the way you do it. I'm just going to snug them first. And I know, you're saying you're not working on a Hemi engine, bud. Just go ahead and tighten them down. Now, do you remember if I'm doing this in the same order? I don't. I don't think I am, but that's okay. I'll come back if this thing's ran a while. I'll retort these. Now, since I'm 46 now and my mind's going on me, I have to go back and look at this wrench, make sure I have it set the right way before I do this final. Click. You seen old Jeff Bradshaw, Elder and Iron, he doesn't use one of these things. He just takes his hand, he goes Click, click. I've done that sometimes, but you know, I've never had something fail that I did the right way. Click, 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 click. Yeah, but I can tell you these head bolts were loose. I don't know why that happened. Click, click, click. Click. Scary. Click. I get that from my granddad. He used to be like that to people. He'd be going down the road, they'd be driving somewhere, and he'd see one of us kids or somebody falling asleep over in the passenger side of the car. And we'd be just about have our eyes closed, and he'd stab the brakes real quick, and we'd be up in the windshield. Alright, one more sequence here. I'm going to call it good. Click. 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 Done. And I'd like to also mention that today's tools have been generously supplied by Harbor Freight. For a nominal sum, you also can be in possession of wonderful high quality tools like these. And I'll just say this real quick. I have hardly ever had anything break from Harbor Freight. I've had stuff that didn't do a very good job, but it worked. Okay, guys, this is just going to be generally a reversal of whatever you took off of this thing to get this far. So we're going to, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do my carburetor now. I've got a kit for my car. I'm going to rebuild it, put it back on, put the linkage back on, and then I had to pull this kill thing off the coil here to get this thing pulled apart, so make sure you put that back on. And then you're going to be putting the tank, the shroud, in whatever order it came off. Reverse that, put it back together, put your new spark plug in if you're putting a new one in, put the old one in if you're putting an old one in, and then we will see how this thing runs. So thanks for watching this far, and hopefully in the next segment we'll put gas in it, pull the rope, see what happens. Alright, I thought I'd just show you this carburetor briefly in case you're interested in what kind it is. This is a Walbro LMS carburetor. Let's cut that right on the right there, LMS. And this is probably a replacement carburetor, because when the man was looking up at the lawnmower parts getting placed with him, he was looking up the rebuild kit for it. He couldn't find a number on it anywhere where it was supposed to be one. There is a number up in here, but it's not anything that corresponds to what he was needing. So he gave me the kit that's the most common kit, and it appears to be the right one for it. So, and this kit doesn't have a whole lot in it. It's just got things like it's got a where the air cleaner mounts. You got a gasket for it. You've got a bowl gasket. You got the O-ring between the carburetor and the intake pipe. And you got a new needle valve for the idle mixture valve. You got just seals. You got a new pivot. You got a new spring for the needle adjuster, and bolt gasket, and needle, pivot needle. Did I say that? And also you got don't forget on these carburetors that you also have a seat, a rubber seat down in there for the needle valve. It's down in that where the needle valve resides down there, so we need to replace that. Make sure you replace that. So otherwise, just clean it up. This carburetor appears to be pretty clean. I soaked it and everything, and you got a Welch plug here that's you're supposed to take out and spray out back there, but I'm going to wing it on this one because I don't like taking that thing out. So if it don't work right, I'll have to come back and do it. But for now, take the lazy guy's way out, I guess. You know, I'm not too lazy. But anyway, I'm not going to do a tutorial on this because I'm sure there are many better videos on YouTube about how to rebuild one of these carburetors. So just a little overview of what the kit looks like for you on this video. See ya. KKK, time has come to see what this thing is going to do. Let's hope it runs better than it did. It ain't running too good before. We just got this head gasket replaced, so got some gas in it. Check the oil. Here we go.
Spark plug wire back on. Yep. Hard to do it.
Boy, she's running sweet. Boy, about got away from me right there at the first though, didn't it? Alright then. That's good to me. I'll put that mower into service. Everything looks okay. After some use, I'll put it in the inventory alongside my yet to be returned to me from 2 weeks ago lawnmower, my rider. Here's the story on that real quick. You heard in the other video when me and Uncle Phil were getting that damn Buick up to his house up there. Remember I asked him what the deal was. In exchange for me renting that truck, and well, I rented the truck for myself, but I helped him part of the way. So I thought a fair deal would be to him to give me back that mower that he's not using, that rider. Remember that snapper rear engine I had, the pawn shop mower. Yeah, I thought I'd get him to give that back to me, and I will either fix the engine on it or I'll repower it with something else, and then that'll make a good match for that thing. Wouldn't that be neat? That's what I thought. So you heard him say, well, yeah, it's at this guy's house, and he's fixing a seal on it, and he's fixing the deck that rusted through. I don't remember the deck having a rust hole in it, and that's 2 weeks ago, and I've not heard from Phil since, so I don't know. You guys got to remember something about Phil. He is a dealer, a wheeler and a dealer. Since Phil doesn't have much money, what he does is he exchanges something he does have, who knows what that is, for something he needs done. So in that instance, he's probably either giving the lawnmower to the guy, or he had something he can give the guy exchange for the guy fixing his mower. I don't know. And you know, the funny thing about that is Phil worked like 25 years as a small engine mechanic, and he can't seem like he can't fix much of anything. I don't quite understand that. So anyway, we will wait and see if the mower actually shows up. If it doesn't, ain't no big deal. I'll just find another one. So leaves me with some extra mowers. I've still got that lawnmower, which I'm going to hang on to just as a spare, because it's so beat up there, but nobody give me $5 for that thing. And then I've got that Honda, which I like. And I thought about, since that Honda mower is not a self-propelled, and you can't get much money for non-self-propelled mowers, I thought I might just see if I could use that engine on the snapper. I don't think that'll happen either, because the shaft's the wrong size. That's what she said. But we'll see. If nothing else, I'll just put it up for sale. So as long as this one works okay. Alright, so that's the mower story. I got one more in there to see if I can get going, so I'll probably take me a little break and gas this one up and mow my front yard with it, and then this evening we'll get that other one up on the bench and see what the hell's going on with it. Thanks guys for coming along with this, and we'll get into something else kind of crazy here soon. See ya. Huh, never knew that. You know, you can't over rev this car in park. I was gonna rev the engine up and aggravate those dogs over there. And watch. See, look. As high as it goes. 3,400. Damn it. Piece of shit.